you gotta have faith, faith, faith. I gotta have faith, faith, faith. Just have to wait because I got to have faith. To have faith before this river becomes an ocean. Before you throw my heart back on the floor. Oh, baby, I reconsider my foolish notion. Well, I need someone to hold me, but I wait for something more. 'Cause I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. Because I gotta have faith, faith, faith. I gotta have faith, faith, faith. In a little while from now, if I'm not feeling any less sound, I promise myself to treat myself and visit a nearby town. And climbing to the top, will throw myself off in an effort to make clear to everyone it's like when you're shattered, left standing in the lurch at a church where people were saying, my God, that's tough, she stood him up. No point in us remaining, we may as well go on, 'cause I did on my own, alone again, naturally. To think that only yesterday I was cheerful, bright and gay, looking forward to who wouldn't do the role I was about to play. But as if to knock me down, reality came around, and without so much as a mere touch, cut me into little pieces, leaving me to doubt. Talk about God in His mercy, if He really does exist, why did He desert me in my hour of need? I truly am indeed alone again, naturally. It seems to me that there are more hearts broken in the world that can't be mended, left unattended. What do we do? What do we do? Alone again, naturally. Looking back over the years, whatever else that appears, I remember I cried when my father died, never wishing to hide the tears. And at 65 years old, my mother, God rest her soul, couldn't understand why the only man she had ever loved had been taken, leaving her to start with a heart so badly broken. Despite encouragement from me, no words were ever spoken. When she passed away, I cried and cried all day, alone again, naturally. Alone again, naturally.
I be your mirror, reflect what you are, in case you don't know. I be the wind, the rain and the sunset, the light on your door, to show that you're home. When you think the night has seen your mind, that inside you're twisted and unkind, let me stand to show that you are blind. Please put down your hands, 'cause I see you. I find it hard to believe you don't know the beauty you are. But if you don't, let me be your eyes, a hand to your darkness, so you won't be afraid. When you think the night has seen your mind, that inside you're twisted and unkind, let me stand to show that you are blind. Please put down your hands, 'cause I see you. I be your mirror, I be your mirror, I be your mirror, I be your mirror, I be your mirror.
Okay. Hi, hello, we're getting started. Hello. All right, were y'all here? Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Glad you're here.
Yes, nice to see.
Is anybody out there?
Okay, our ASM is telling us there are a lot of you gathered on YouTube. That's great. Welcome.
Great. So we are students at Wesleyan, and we're the company putting on this performance, formerly and still known as the Method Gun.
Right now, we are logged in from 4 time zones and 3 countries to welcome you to this live stream. And thank you for joining us for what has become the Spring Department production.
We are so grateful to Wesleyan Center for the Arts for all their help in keeping this show going, to President Michael Roth, to our families for putting up with us rehearsing all over our houses, to all of you for showing up, and especially to the RUDE MECHS of Austin, Texas for letting us work with this material.
Okay, housekeeping. First, close all of your other browsers so that your streaming experience is optimized. And remember that part of Zoom is the individual lag time. So what you are seeing is unique to your own computer screen. We are each responding in what feels like a real flow of time to us, which may or may not be the same flow to each of each other. 2, if you're having any trouble now or at any point during the show, use the chat box to ask for help, and our ASM, Milton, will help you out shortly. Milton, come say hi.
Hey.
3, if we're having trouble, if one of our videos freezes during the scene, our assistant director, Will jump in a swing until we get going again. There's Will. Meanwhile, our other assistant director, Nick, will be running our sound. Hi, Nick.
All right, before we launch into the show, we want to give you a chance to do just a tiny bit of audience participation. So everybody, wherever you are, in your houses, wherever, we want you to crack your knuckles. All right, good. Okay, now, I want you to grab your cell phone, which I'm assuming is close by, but if not, I want you to go and get it. Good. Once you have your hands on your phone, we want you to close your eyes, all right? We want you to think of somebody who taught you something. We want you to recall the teacher that influenced you more than any other living human, whether for good or for ill. We want you to generate an image of this person, who I would describe as your guru. Imagine them in the room with you. Imagine them sitting across from you, getting up and walking over to you. Really see their facial expressions, their hair, right? There's nothing more personal than hair. Okay. Now, when you have a good image, we want you to open your eyes and text the name of that person to Chapin's number, which Penelope's holding up in her box. Milton will also text this number in the live stream chat. All right, we want to gather these names as a way of gathering the energy of everything we've all learned and inviting into this call the spirit of what we've all been taught. And you know what it was like to be a student at any point in your life in need of guidance and discipline and encouragement from anyone. Thank you, Elijah, for that beautiful accompaniment. And hopefully by now everyone has gotten their names in. You can put your phones away. You won't need them again. Thank you. And if you can't think of someone's name to write down, you can write the name Stella Burden, but please do write someone's name down. All right.
So Stella Burden is the woman to whom this show is dedicated. Miss Burden was an acting teacher in the 20th century American theater who inspired intense loyalty in her students, and then one day walked out on them and emigrated to South America, never to be heard from again. But her students carried on her traditions long after she disappeared, continuing the company's 9-year-long rehearsal process in order to present one final public performance.
The show the Stella Burden Company was working on was Tennessee Williams's A Streetcar Named Desire, but not as you probably know it. The company performed the show without the main characters of Stanley, Stella, Mitch, or Blanche.
That's the performance we were working on before we all went into isolation. We were going to present Streetcar in its entirety, performing every line, every action, every stage direction that does not involve one of the main characters.
We'd gotten halfway through our rehearsals by spring break, and then, instead of going back to campus, we all ended up here in our individual bedrooms and living rooms, like all of you.
So we see it this way. Our research is no longer them, it's us. What does it mean to be a theater artist or an audience when you can no longer gather together in process or performance? Continuing to rehearse and make this show is us trying to find an answer. Tonight, by inviting you into our experiment, we will attempt to complete the loop that was formerly known as theater.
In order to help with this task, we'll be relying on some artifacts which belong to Miss Burden and which we have here with us.
We have an unopened letter written by Stella herself, written to one of her students, and kept in this locked box.
We have a puppet of a tiger, a gift from one of her students that Stella considered a good luck charm.
We each have our houseplants, which represented to Stella the value of isolation.
And we have Stella's gun, which was loaded when we found it. We're not going to tell you how it is now.
Along the way, we'll be reimagining the company's rehearsals, recreating interviews, and performing our own experiences with the Stella Burden actor training technique called the approach. In fact, we've completed one just now. At the beginning of a new rehearsal process, Stella Burden made it a ritual to ask her company to imagine the most important teacher, including her if she was it for them, and then write down that name. And she collected the names in this bowl. Then, after the first performance, she would burn the names as a way of honoring and destroying the lessons they had learned.
Okay, now we're going to get started and change into our costumes for the Stella Burden Company characters before starting with an exercise used by the Stella Burden Company of actors called crying practice. Everyone ready? Okay, 2 minutes, go. Crying practice is over.
This is ridiculous. We cannot. It's a waste of time.
Elizabeth, we can't keep going like this. I was getting
We need to move forward.
We're never going to get anything done if you keep running rehearsals.
We have to keep talking about this. Stella's gonna come back anyway.
Okay, from the approach.
Can we just do the scene or not do the scene? Because I am not going to do this again.
Hey, if Stella were here with us right now, how would you want her to see us acting? Like you? Like all of you?
Will you please stop talking? Do you notice I don't talk? I don't talk all the time. But you? Just watch the difference between me and you.
You talk a lot about not talking.
Only not so highbrow.
Okay, should I be recording this?
I have a rash.
Can you see that there? It's a wreck. Just so
Totally irrelevant. Maybe one needs to know.
please allow a couple of your rougher angels to rip a hole in heaven, and you use it to ship Tennessee Williams' ghost directly into our presence as we perform a story of a streetcar named Desire without the characters Stanley, Stella, Mitch, or Blanche. Help us to be emotionally honest, at least in little bursts, for as long as we can handle it. Please guide us as we try to find our way without Stella. Amen.
Put it away. Okay. Now let's do it right. And you get you a poor boy sandwich because there ain't nothing here.
What was that package you threw at her?
Oh, you hush now. What's the matter, honey? You lost? Well, that's where you are now. This here's Elysian Fields.
Let's see, what do we do about...
What number are you looking for? Well, you don't have to look no further. That's the party. You just did miss her, though. She's got the downstairs and I got the up. You notice that bowling alley around the corner? That's where she's at, watching her husband bowl. You wanna leave your suitcase here and go find her?
I'll go tell her you come. You're welcome.
She wasn't expecting you. Well, then why don't you just go in and make yourself at home till they get back? Oh, we own the place. I could let you in. It's a little messed up right now, but when it's clean, it's real sweet. Uh-huh. I think so. So you're Stella's sister. Oh, pornadas, the Mexican thing. Pornada. Well, Stella spoke of you. I think she said you taught school. And you're from Mississippi, huh? She showed me a picture of your home place, the plantation. Great big place with white columns. A place like that must be awful hard to keep up. Well, sure, honey. Why don't you sit down? In that case, I'll make myself scarce. I'll drop by the bowling alley and hustle her up.
Okay. Stella Burden handpicked each one of her company members, all the people we're portraying for you today. And when she picked them, she gave them each a small plant. She said they had to nurture that plant the same way she was nurturing them. What nurturing meant to Stella continues to be unclear to us, especially given the way she chose her company members. Through a series of bizarre interviews and auditions like this one.
My name is Carl Rayholt, and I will be performing a monologue of self-composition. I am dirt. I am nothing but mud and sticks. I need you to make me, Stella. Make me into an actor. I want to be great. Thought I would be fantastic by now. Thought I would humor class if I isolated for this long by now. And not free applause, cheap applause, but sweat applause, hard work applause. I'm looking for a new way. I'm not just talking about my character. I'm asking, how does one become oneself? That's what I'm hoping you can do for me, Stella Burden. That's what I'm hoping you can do for me, the method gun. I know one thing. If you say, go there, I swear I will go all the way there. Whether you mean out there, go there, or go there, in here. Thank you.
Who wants a beer?
Oh.
Me.
Maybe that's why Stella left us for South America, to really isolate, go the final distance.
Carl,
Thank you, Connie.
What, Carl? Connie, what about a beer for me?
Hey, Connie, can you pass me?
Oh, sorry, there's not enough.
Hey, what about mine?
Wait, how about
Okay. All right. Who has my notes on the guy's streetcar scene?
Thanks for the beer, Connie.
Happened. Yeah, nothing new happened. Nothing happened at all. It's the same as it was before.
So I guess the question is, are we trying to find new stuff, or are we trying to make what we have perfect?
Oh my God, can you stop it?
Well, I think we want to make it perfect.
Well, I think new.
I think perfect.
There is no such thing as perfect.
I don't believe that.
Are you recording this?
Of course I'm recording it.
We have to start rehearsing harder. We have to start believing what we do. We have to watch out for one another and trust that someone's watching out for you. That way, we don't have to watch out for ourselves, which you can never really do anyway. We have to start assuming what we believe we want has already happened in the future. But God, no, I agree with what I think you're saying. I wish Stella were back already. Amen.
And will you stop praying?
What do you care?
I'm an atheist.
Oh, what you are is a fucking mystery to me, and I do hope it stays that way forever. And if I do start to understand you, I would rather a plane crash through the ceiling and land on my face.
But I do think I'm panicking. I think I'm having a panic attack. What should I do?
Maybe we should ask the tiger.
Carl.
Let me hold you for a second. Elizabeth, come on. Just for a second. Let me hold you.
Oh, is this a good idea?
We're in the rehearsal space together. I'm walking over to you.
I'm watching you walk over to me.
Put my arms around you.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't this feel good?
Uh-huh.
We breathe deeply together.
Uh-huh.
I'm leaving you now. We are both balanced and better. Don't you feel balanced and better? I walk away.
And now I start crossing the rehearsal space over to Elizabeth. Arms open, I put one of them on your shoulder.
Oh, God.
On Carissa. Oh, no. I'm sorry. So is it hot outside?
It's the same as it always is.
Sure, that's how he got it. He hit the old Weatherbird for $300 on a 6-number ticket. Hey, are we playing poker tomorrow?
Break it up down there. I made a spaghetti dish and ate it all myself.
I told you and phoned you we was playing. Hey, Jack's
Well,
dinner.
you never phoned me once.
Yeah, I told you at breakfast and phoned you at lunch.
Well, never you mind that. You just get yourself home here once in a while. While.
You want it in the papers?
I hate the sound of my own voice.
Okay. The work we had been doing with Miss Burden's approach took on new meaning with everyone stranded at home. Something that naturally became interesting to us was what effect isolation would have on our company as people. How can we possibly connect with each other when we're apart? How do we experience intimacy, physical or emotional, when there's so much distance between us? When our mode of communication is, well, flat. This is particularly evident in training techniques such as this one called kissing practice.
Very passionate. Somewhat passionate. Wildly passionate.
Okay, nice job, everyone. Kissing practice is over.
This next scene is complete bullshit. It's not based on an interview or recreation. We just wrote it from our own imaginations. But we decided to keep this scene in the play because when we showed it to Connie Torrey, the character who I play, she said it was, quote, so true.
Hello, everyone. I'm on the phone with Connie Torrey, a member of the Stella Burden Theater Company, who is currently self-isolating in an undisclosed location as part of Miss Burden's experimental theater techniques. Connie, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good, Conrad. Thank you.
We'd love to hear about the self-isolation practices Stella taught.
Well, Conrad, we're shattering the illusion of theater and bodily co-presence by finding our inner audience and performer multitudes. We learn to project into an open void and know that it will echo back.
I see. And does the company miss Stella?
You know, Conrad, on TV, there's only what you choose to see. But the beautiful truth of the theater is that despite the deceit and suspension of disbelief, you can't negate the fact that it's happening in front of you. I mean, you could be wanking off behind your desk right now and your audience probably wouldn't know.
How about we talk about those rehearsals of a streetcar named
But
Desire?
if someone were wanking on stage in front of an audience, you'd see it. It's what makes us honest.
Connie, I don't...
Yes, of course we miss her. She gave us ourselves.
You don't think she's coming back?
She left her gun.
And by that she meant...
The acting approach Stella teaches isn't a way of getting to something. It's a way of deserving what you get. Her absence is the only assurance she ever existed.
So that's why she left the theater?
She only left the country. The theater is bigger than that.
Red hot. Red hot. Red hot. Red hot.
Actors are freaks, you know. You spend all your time with a bunch of actors, and before you know it, you're a freak yourself. Can't avoid it. I got a tattoo. See? Yeah, it looks stupid, doesn't it? That's it. I'm getting to be a freak too. I'm not a complete idiot yet. I can still use my head, but my heart, I don't have passion for anything anymore. I don't want anything. I don't need anything. I don't love anybody. It's not right. I do love you. Stella Burden. I took time off rehearsal in November to teach that fight choreography workshop in Cleveland with a bunch of college kids. Now they're passionate. So many signed up, I had to do 2 sessions, 4 hours each. It was very successful, but I just couldn't get the spirit of the thing. Hour after hour showing kids how to fake a fight. And then finally, after 8 hours, I was locking up the classroom behind me, and this one last little freak scared the shit out of me, asking me a question about how he should disengage. And I said, "Show me." And his lunge was so earnest that he stepped on my toe. And then I was filled with passion. You know, it wasn't rage. It was gratitude. For being touched, for actually being impacted by another human's body. I mean, we're supposed to be paving the way for a new generation of artists. You think in 100 years, artists are gonna admire us for trying to carry on Stella's legacy? They won't. Anything wild this deal?
Fun. Why don't somebody go to the corner and bring back a load of chop suey?
Oh, give me 3.
What do you got?
Spade flush. Okay, 7-card stud. There's an old farmer sitting in the back of his house, sitting down, throwing corn to the chicken. When all at once he hears a loud cackle, and this young hen comes lickety-split around the side of the house with the rooster on her tail and gaining on her fast. But when the rooster catches sight of the farmer throwing the corn, he puts the brakes on, lets the hen get away and starts pecking the corn. And the old farmer says, "Lord God, I hopes I never gets that hungry." Hey, Stanley, let the girls have their music.
Sure, that's good. Leave it on.
Yeah, it sounds like Xavier Cugat. I didn't hear you name it.
Did not name it, Mitch. What were you doing then? Sure, he's got ants now. 7 $5 bills in his pants pocket pulled up tight as spitball.
Tomorrow you'll see him rolling up to the cashier's window trying to get him changed into quarters.
I think coffee doing a world of good now.
Ooh, let's get him under the shower.
Quit that howling out there and go back to bed.
Let's get quick out of here.
She ain't coming down, so you quit, or you'll get the law on you. You can't beat on a woman and then call her back. She won't come, and her gonna have a baby, you stinker. You black you. I hope they do haul you in. You turn the fire hose on you. Same as the last time.
All right. What's amazing to us about the Stella Burden Company is that the self-isolation we're all doing now is mirrored by the isolation that the company practiced regularly and by choice. You've heard several company members refer to it. Stella saw isolation as of intensifying human experience. And even after Stella abandoned them, the members of the company continued the practice, challenging themselves to longer and longer periods of self-isolation, with the plants she gave them as their only companion. This led to new training practices such as this one.
Plants, everyone. Are we ready?
Robert's not in the right position.
Come on, Robert.
Sorry.
And 1 minute. Begin.
Okay.
You're pushing yourself against the plant leaves,
Yeah,
right?
pal. You're right here at the bottom, but you're gonna make it to the top.
Okay,
Ready?
let's just start. Let's just start.
Keep on trekking.
There you go. All right, there you go.
Give yourself
And up the stalk, up
level.
the
We've
stalk.
talked about this how many times? First level.
There, yep.
Run.
You're gonna want to. No, you're gonna want to
Right,
slide.
main branch. You gotta
Gonna beat Andrew.
over. Yes.
Gonna do it.
Over. Yeah.
Just shake it
So
off.
strong. You're so strong. Watch out, monkey, monkey. Drop the monkey.
Good job. All right.
Yes.
Let's get smaller.
Okay, okay,
Just
a new plant.
Oh, all right, awesome. Good job. Good job. This one right here. So you can
Proud of you, buddy. Over there. Yep, you're
This one is
almost
the
there.
easiest. We've done the test. Okay, ready?
Run it up.
Run and jump.
Yes, and left. All right, good job. All right, now it's everything from here.
Man, yes.
Yes,
So
yes.
proud of
You're gonna have to put some extra
Happening.
on.
Happening.
Yes, right on time. High
And stop. So, how do we do?
I made it to the top this time.
Hey.
I didn't make it.
Wait, so it does matter if you get to the top?
I think we need to come to a consensus about what matters means, what matters means to Stella, and what it means to us.
What actually happens matters. If you fall off the tree, then you're dead. Those are the stakes, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
That's what Stella said. Because I'm alive. You know, I'm fucking growing. I know you liked me better when I was an acorn, but I'm an oak tree. Yeah, I'm an oak tree.
You act like a fucking oak tree.
What does that mean?
You said it. How should I know?
Well, if I do, it's because you all did it to me.
Hey, don't blame the company. Every second of your life, every inch, that's you choosing.
I can't wait for this play to be over and I can be done with you.
I just want to point out that I'm not talking.
Okay. No. Great. We know how Stella would have wanted us to do it. We don't have to argue about that. We all know. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's best if we just call it a night.
Does anyone have an objection to wrapping up?
I have an objection.
Is it a significant objection?
I guess not, no.
All right. We all remember how to put away the trees the way Stella taught. We all have our trees. Ready?
Great. Same time tomorrow.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Hello. I am a tiger. Do we have a John here tonight? Is there a Elizabeth logged on, or a Liz, or a Beth? Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, John. I want to be personal to each one of you. I am the only tiger in this play. I arrive to deliver a serious dramaturgical list of all the things in the world that a play would be better if it had at least one of. Okay? Numero uno. A tiger. And that's it. That's the end of the list. I think we can all agree that given a choice between Death of a Salesman and Death of a Salesman from a Tiger, that the second one just seems more exciting. But what, in particular, you wonder, makes tigers so well suited for the modern drama? That's a good question, Elizabeth. I'm glad you asked, John. Tigers are good for plays because of the simple fact that we are a symbol. It turns out tigers are both extremely dangerous and extremely beautiful. Tigers represent both life on this planet and death. So I'm surprised there are not a lot more plays with tigers in them. I mean, let's have some different kinds of plays, am I right? You know, Freud said, blah, 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 bullshit, fuck. I don't give a fuck what Freud said. This play has a tiger, and I am this play's tiger. Your tiger. For you. So if you have trouble for a scene, or don't want to follow all the exposition stuff, just remember, any moment I could run through and eat the person you are most bored with, or the person you are most interested in, or the person who is walking down their very own stairs in their very own home right this minute. Be careful. Now, tiger. Goodbye. Bongo!
All right. That's everything. Okay. Hopefully everyone's here by now. All right. Let me just share. Okay. All right. Whew. Am I muted? No. Should be good. All right. So, just a second. Sorry. There we go. All right. So, fact. You can't do your best every day. That's something Stella understood. Maybe like this one day, I was terrible on stage. Terrible. Maybe like today. No, let's make this a good day. I am trying. but effort isn't everything. At the last few weeks of rehearsal with the company, that there was a bad energy. Everybody was always fighting, you know, and before she left, when we got that way, Stella used to say, forget it. And that would always hurt my feelings. But she only ever meant forget it for that night. We should have tried something else, something different. Like for instance, right now, I want to dance. How many of you either work in an office of any kind or think you might work in an office one day? Raise your hand right in the chat box. All right, can't see the chat box. So I'm guessing there's a lot of you. So I guess there's not going to be a lot of farmers anymore. But you all know you can't just stop in the middle of a quarterly sales review that's going terrible and decide to do something else, something different. But we can, or we can quit. We can go our separate ways whenever we want, or go get cocktails. Does anyone know? This dance is called the night rehearsal was terrible. It felt like the play would never be good in 100 years. All our work is wasted. I feel stupid for even hoping I could make something good. I wish God would kill me by throwing me between a drunk driver Chevy Nova and a baby who's going to grow up to be a real artist. Amen. Now dance. Everybody do it. It felt good. Felt great. Felt like, yes. But it probably wouldn't have worked. They probably wouldn't have joined me. We would have just kept fighting. No, I don't think any of us ever understood a single thing Stella was trying to teach. That's probably why she left.
You're drunk, aren't you?
No.
Don't lie, I can tell. It wouldn't even matter if you knew your part, but you're always messing up.
I never messed up in a performance.
Oh, you hit Coco during the stoop scene.
Oh, don't you pin that on me.
You were drunk. I'm gonna tell the company. Tell the company. I'm gonna tell the company. I heard about you and that blonde.
That's a damn lie.
You ain't pulling the wool over my eyes. Wouldn't mind if you'd stay down at the Four Deuces, but you're always going up.
Whoever seen me up?
Oh, I seen you chasing her around the balcony. I'm gonna call the vice squad.
Oh, don't you throw that at me.
You hit me. I'm gonna call the police. Okay, now, just the choreography?
Sure, sounds good. Good?
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. How do we used to do it before?
We get it almost every night. And when that moon gets so big and bright, it's a supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Everybody here is out of sight, but they don't bark and they don't bite. They keep things loose, they keep things alive. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight, dancing in the moonlight. Everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody's dancing in the moonlight.
I hate watching myself on video. I hate the way my voice sounds on Zoom. I hate the way Zoom turns my face pink. I hate the way my face looks when I laugh. I hate laughing on video. I like listening to music. You can hear a song 100 times in your own room, but on stage, everything is completely transformed. If you take a woman from my hometown and put her on a stage 383 miles away and play her a song, if she listens closely, that song will be transformed into the most beautiful song in the whole world. And the woman will be transformed too. Her face will turn pink and her hands will fly around her body like wounded birds. I asked Stella once why it doesn't happen the other way. Why doesn't the woman grow perfect and live forever? And Stella wrote an explanation for me and put it in this locked box, gave me the key, and said, whenever I wanted to know the answer, I should unlock the box and open it and take out the letter and light it on fire and read as much of it as I could before it burns out.
Well, maybe that's why Stella left for South America, to really isolate and for the final distance.
I didn't go any distance when I was in isolation. You know, I would go whole days without even taking a breath.
But I found meditation to be helpful.
Hold on. Delilah, the breathing, or the lack of breathing, is compelling to me. And I think we could use that. What was that sensation like? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it...
So singularly focused on trying to be there in the moment and get it right that, I wasn't sure.
We'll make it a rasa. Everybody write breathing on sticky notes.
Give me a second.
Okay. Everyone ready?
Yep.
This is everyone. And go.
Confrontational vulgarity. Plant climbing.
Streetcar.
Romance.
Confrontational vulgarity.
Plant climbing.
Romance.
I'm breathing now.
Sure.
Okay.
Look, everyone.
Rasa boxes are over.
I want to take a moment to thank the Stella Burden Company. It was a dream come true to meet them. They were all so generous with information about the approach, about their lives, and even about how the company fell apart. Here's what Coco Bond, the character I play, said about it. The first day I walked into the rehearsal room, I did kind of feel like Blanche, meeting all these freaks with no manners, always yelling at one another. And then, for a while, I felt like Stanley. Everyone knew more than me, treated me like I was some kind of stupid bum. And then, for a while, I felt like Mitch. I started doing whatever they wanted. Seriously. They heard me praying once and told me Stella couldn't stand any secrets. If I had something to say, I had to say it to the whole group. Which I did. It's just that I believed what we were doing mattered. Not just to us, but to the world. And I would have kept going no matter what. So it turns out, of course, the perfect part for me would have been Stella. No, not Burden, I mean Stella Kowalski. Because I'm the true believer. You know, Blanche is the one who goes crazy in that play, but Stella's the one who keeps coming back for more. We should have kept going. I'd do it again today. I want to. Or start a new show. Just to stand next to everyone, actually be in the same room.
Looking for the evening star? Oh, ma'am, it's the paper. Oh, no, ma'am. No, thank you. I can't take on the job. That's all right. I'll drop by later. Sure. This doesn't always work. No, ma'am. I stepped inside. Oh, 15 at 7? Ma'am? Uh-huh. No, ma'am. Cherry. A cherry soda. Oh, I better be going.
Flores. Flores. Flores para los muertos. Coronas. Coronas para los muertos. Coronas. Coronas. Coronas para los muertos. los muertos? ¿Flores? ¡Coronas!
Stella isn't coming back. Think about it, would you?
I would come back.
I disagree.
You don't know what he would do.
I'm not asking what he would do. I'm asking what he would do if he were Stella. It's different. We know what he would do. He's doing it. He's done it. Did you know he proposed to me once? Remember?
I remember.
That was the worst proposal ever.
I guess you could have said yes.
Well, then you would have really been miserable.
In your mind, it was gonna be good, right?
Oh yeah. In my mind, I was gonna sweep you off your feet.
Well, you didn't. Didn't work. Oh, it was just another question somebody asked me that I had to say no to. I didn't want you to marry me, and I still don't. I think I would make the worst wife in the whole world. You're lucky I'm so smart.
You really are.
Can we talk about something else?
Sure.
What?
So, is it hot outside?
It's the same as it always is.
Oh. This game, 7 card stud. This game is 7 card stud.
Such fine hair. Hush, honey, hush. You look wonderful, Blanche. Don't she look wonderful? I understand you're going on a trip. I'm green with envy. What a pretty blue jacket. He's gonna walk out before they get here. Then wait until the game breaks up. That must be them. Excuse me while I see who's at the door.
How do you do?
Hello, Blanche. That's all right. Now, Blanche. Oh, these fingernails need to be trimmed. Jacket, doctor?
Not unless necessary. Mr. Guan? It won't be necessary. Let go.
This game is 7 Card. Stud. Okay. Gather up. Company meeting. Click in or whatever. So, I guess the question is, are we going to do the way the way we had planned, or have some of us changed our minds about that?
What are you so pissed off about?
Why are you doing this?
What is she doing?
Because we can't get by on ticket sales and teaching.
Elizabeth, what are you talking about?
Elizabeth?
Okay. I am formally proposing that we cancel the show, sell whatever equipment we have, invest the principal in a no-load municipal bond fund, I said we should invest the money in a no-load municipal bond fund.
You said something else.
I'm proposing we cancel the show.
So you're going to dissolve the company?
I didn't say dissolve the company.
Oh my God. I never understood a single thing until now. See, I was stupid. So I thought the company belonged to all of us. And because one stupid thought leads to another, I thought the decision to dissolve it also belongs to all of us.
Yes, it does. It belongs to all of us.
I didn't say it doesn't.
You want to cancel the show?
You can't do that.
That is not your decision to make.
We need to sustain ourselves.
I feel sustained.
Buddy, Andrew, doing shows like this? I'm not pretending my little scheme is perfect or anything.
Yeah, well, why don't we just go get the gun and find a bad business that's still open right now and take all their money? Because I bet if we put as much time and energy into that as we do into this, we could do it right, and we could do a really good job.
Who gets to hold the gun?
Why are you all so fucking stupid?
Stella saw potential in us. She started working with us because we each have potential in different things, but we haven't done it. Our potential is just waiting for us to come get it. Our potential is just waiting and wondering why the fuck we haven't shown up yet. When will we get there?
Can anybody make her stop?
You shut up, Elizabeth! I want to have my say too!
You already had your say.
You all wrecked my life! I never lived! You're all old! But I'm young! But just barely. My best young years are totally cashed. There's a great big chunk of my life that's in total defeasance.
What's defeasance?
Holy shit! I've lost it. I'm totally nuts. Stella!
Let's just be honest.
Charlie?
Elizabeth is right. None of what we're doing has any impact at all. None of what we will do will reach them wherever they are. None of what we're doing even reaches ourselves. I leave rehearsal every day completely unchanged. Every day. I leave rehearsal totally unchanged.
But it's up to you. You're the one who needs to work harder.
Yeah, at least we see each other. At least rehearsal is a break from being in our own rooms and we can actually see each other.
But who are you speaking as?
Working harder won't change anything. We'll still be trapped in these little boxes. I mean, this isn't theater. It doesn't work.
But who are you talking as right now?
You shut up! All of you, shut up!
God, rip the hole now. Reach down and choose me, pick me up, and carry me away.
Stop praying. Every time you pray, I pray the exact opposite silently to myself. I've been doing it this entire rehearsal process!
What the fuck is wrong with you?
What the fuck, Carl?
He's fucking trying not thinking me. Somebody make him stop!
gun! I feel the weight of the gun. I'm pointing it at Elizabeth! Fuck me!
It's a prop gun. It's fake.
I quit! That's what happens next. My name is Elizabeth Johns and I quit. You know, it just gets to be too much. And this woman I play, Elizabeth Johns, she turns to her friends and she tells them, no more. No more. Not because of the fighting or because he pointed Stella's gun at me or because, of course, it's fake. But just everything. The small things, the beer. You never bring me a beer. And I don't want to hear about family anymore. And no one says good work anymore. And I hate you. We are not bringing honor to Stella's name. We're not. So after this one and only performance of this stupid, imagined, isolated version of Streetcar, she's done. She's leaving. And she is never coming back. This is bullshit. The approach is bullshit. And Stella is bullshit. And everything we've done is nothing.
Here is where the final performance of Streetcar would have happened. We called it our dream ballet. We were planning to perform it on a raked platform, doing all of the Streetcar rehearsal blocking as choreography, perfectly timed to dodge bowling balls that were released down the stage, a reference to all the bowling that happens in Streetcar. It was going to be a stunning series of perfect near misses, but we can't do it that way anymore.
As we've been making the Zoom production, we've been grieving the one left behind and unfinished. We mourned being in the room together, the feel of our favorite props and costumes, the rhythm of our blocking. We thought about just not doing this part, just cutting it from the show, but we realized that it is the heart of our experiment. And maybe by doing this, we are holding space for every performance that was canceled by COVID. But this is our story, our process, our eulogy. Our way of saying thank you and goodbye to something that was never finished, but always felt. Please understand this. The next part of the play is as much for us as it is for you. Start the play. Blanche arrives.
Enter stage right. Look forward. Go.
Leaning, fan myself, laughing.
Laughing. Laughing.
Cross stage. Near miss. Tuck in shirt with one hand. Turn. Eunice. Lock hands. Hand off beer.
Turn to Steve. Take beer.
Laughing.
Near miss. Exit.
Twirl into chair.
Piano chord.
Who's that?
Snap head to the left.
Snap head back front.
Near miss. And exit.
Walk stage right. Near miss.
Fan myself. Keep an eye on her.
Into the kitchen. Bend. Pick something up from the floor. Near miss. Lean forward. Pivot. Grab the whiskey. Near miss. Legs swing up. Near miss. Look to the neighbor.
Nod.
Off stage right. Near miss.
Exit off left.
Steve and Pablo head back from bowling.
Coming back from bowling, upstage.
Arm around Steve.
Arm around Pablo.
On my toes, head down the stage.
Run down the rake.
High five, Steve. Nod.
Push off Pablo. Spiral, stage right. Near miss 1, 2.
Turn. Near miss. Give Steve a hug.
Break away.
Walk away. Near miss. Exit.
Wander up right. Unsteady. Drunk.
Cross stage left. Near miss. Stand on the chair.
Put my hands on the table. Spread my legs. Near miss.
Change arms. Change arms.
Exit left.
Step down. Exit.
Evening. Tamale vendor.
Tamale vendor standing by. Tamale cart. Go. Walking. Walking. Near miss. Walking. Walking. Near miss. Walking. 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 Near miss. Walking. Walking. Arrive up left. At the edge. Hand on cart. Tamale cart. Down.
Poker scene. Pablo and Steve play poker.
Poker time, baby.
Shuffling, shuffling, shuffling.
Pour some shots.
Feel it out.
Loosen up.
Crack one open.
Ante up. Shots.
Shots.
Pablo.
Mitch.
Pablo.
Card. Cheers.
Drink. Raise him. Chip.
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 Fade. Flush.
Laughing. Laughing.
Tease Mitch, then boom!
Cards in the air. Salsa across the stage.
And spin.
And spin. Get thrown to the ground.
Roll down, near miss.
Slam him down on the chair.
Near miss.
Shower time.
Exit left.
Exit.
Steve and Eunice have a fight. Pursue Steve. Slam. Hand down on the table.
Stop mid-sip. Place beer stage right. Near miss.
Hands up by my ears, agitated and down.
Lean back, not bothered. Push off. Turn. Near miss.
Finger straight out.
Don't you
Grab the shoe.
near miss.
Throw it at Steve, cheating bastard.
Slap her.
Knock with my hands. Oh my god.
Oh shit. I hurt her. Hands up in defense. Take a drink of beer.
I'm going to call the police. Hands down and open.
Prepare for paperboy.
Near miss. Exit.
Paperboy. Step on stage. Near miss. Look at Blanche. She's beautiful. What? No, I can't drink. Walk back. Get turned around. Fumble for lighter. Near miss. Light imaginary cigarette. Walk back. Get turned around. Look at watch. She wants to kiss me. Lean in to kiss imaginary Blanche. Graceful. Be graceful. And exit.
Flower seller. Flores disponibles para la venta. Near miss. Flores. Aquí hay una dama. Parece necesitar una flor. Down center. Offer flowers to an absent branch. Flores. Door slam. Forced backward. No entiendo. Exit.
Eunice tries to get Blanche ready while Stella falls apart and the guys play poker. Here we go. Cross to Blanche. Soft hair. Blanche, stay calm. Near miss. Shh, Blanche, it's okay. There's nothing to worry about. Lower her to the floor. Snap. Someone's at the door. Walk backwards upstage. The doctor and nurse, they're here. Lead them in. Near miss.
Follow Eunice.
Right foot first. Near miss.
Turn down stage and straddle line.
Pause to wait.
Look at poker tape. Gentlemen,
Smile wide. Nothing wrong. No, Blanche, don't fight. Snap to stand.
Approach softly. Do I believe this woman?
look down at her.
Walk down to Blanche. Hanging over her, turn. Reach out your hand.
Regret that this is your job, taking people away. Sharp turn, float right.
I'm sorry, Blanche. It's for your own good. She looks so small. A moth.
Whip hand back. Near miss. Catch Blanche's wrist. These fingernails need to be trimmed.
Kneel. Look at Blanche. Look at nurse.
Look at doctor.
She's frail. Be gentle. Lift Blanche.
Take her weight.
Turn back.
Walk up.
Near miss.
Exit.
Dear God. It's done. Crying. 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 Crying.
Okay. I've got some bad news for you. Elizabeth Johns, I am your tiger. All your screaming and waving your hands, it attracted my attention, and now I've got you. You're going to have to come with me.
Where are we going?
I don't know, but you can't stay here. You're no longer a part of this.
Wait a minute, Tiger. I need to read the letter. I mean, she wrote it to me.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Elizabeth, you have protected this letter for some time, and for all of that time, your expectations for it have festered and grown in the track of your mind. By now, perhaps you are expecting an answer to everything to be perfect, and now it is burning. Tell me, is it perfect? Is it breath? Is it a forever? No, it's already gone. It's the only thing. It's the only thing to be real. If it destroys...
I offer you my arm.
I take it.
We start walking away. You gonna be all right?
Yes.
Where are you gonna go?
The theater studios.
You think we'll fit in there?
Yes.
I wonder. I wonder.
Okay, everyone. Two minutes. Go.
The place I like to be, the place I be happy. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Everybody here is out of sight. They don't bark and they don't bite. They keep things loose, they keep things alive. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Dancing in the moonlight. Everybody feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody dancing in the moonlight. We like our fun and we never fight. You can't dance and stay uptight. It's supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Dancing in the moonlight. Everybody.
Hi, everybody. Wow, great job, cast. I'm clicking in. I'm Katie Pearl. Nice hat, Miguel. To say thank you for all of you for watching. And we've never done this before, but we thought we would have a Q&A. If you were interested in asking any questions, you can type a question into the YouTube live stream, or if you have the phone numbers of the actors, you can text questions to them. But actors, you should definitely like take a drink of water. Get comfortable, run to the bathroom if you need to. Same with audience, and we'll there's so many lovely comments on Zoom, so we'll just give, I mean on the live chat, so we'll just give people a moment. Okay, we have a question coming in saying, it's a big question. What was it like to turn the show from a live show into a show that has to happen on Zoom? Does anyone want to start with that? Actors. Well, we can start by saying we weren't sure when we were faced with that moment of everybody being told that we had to go home and we weren't coming back to school. We had an all company meeting because I didn't want to make that decision just unilaterally by myself. I really wanted everybody to be able to talk together about what it should be. So I think we all felt like what we knew is that we didn't want to stop rehearsing, that would just feel like amputating the project. And so even though we didn't know what it was going to be, we knew that we wanted to continue with it. Does anybody want to add to that? Then what happened?
Yeah, it was all consuming. It was the only thing I have been thinking about for this quarantine, because it was really like, I mean, everybody's classes were a different experience, but this was my only thing that required me to actually show up.
Huh.
It was just, every day was planning around a, 3-hour rehearsal. I loved it, but it's all I've been doing for the past, month and a half.
Yeah. And we'd learned pretty fast that we actually couldn't rehearse quite as much as we were doing in person, which was a lot. We had to bring that time down. Max, you look like you were going to say something. Okay.
I mean, I'll add to what Penelope said, that we basically went back to before the beginning and we're like, okay, so here's the script that we began with, because in the room when we were all together, we started with the script and then looked at it and decided what we wanted to do with it. And we basically had to do that entire process over here in half the time through our laptops. So it began with experiments like everything.
Yeah. And that we had to sort of live in the grief while asking ourselves to create at the same time. We have a question, who made the wonderful wagon? So, well, one way to answer that is that each of these actors made the wagons. But the other way is that Andrew Holland, our scenic designer, and Andrew, if you're here, you're welcome to click in. Thanks, Robin. Here's Andrew. Andrew, you want to talk about like translating the tamale cart to something that can
My magnum opus. It was great. So one of the challenges, of course, with having people spread all over the globe and shipping and things like that not necessarily working well, was we tried to do as much as we could electronically, like, you know, make something two-dimensional and send it out. So, you know, we designed it kind of like a paper doll so that it could be printed flat and then cut out and quickly taped back together. So yeah, it was definitely a challenge.
Andrew got the beer labels to everybody so everybody could have the same beer cans, which are awesome. The next question is another, who is from where and who is in what time zones? So why don't you just go around and say where you are right now? So Liz?
I'm Eastern Standard Time in Arlington, Virginia.
And Miguel?
Eastern Standard Time, Exeter, New Hampshire.
Max?
Eastern Standard Time, East Hampton, Connecticut.
Elijah?
Eastern Lewisburg, Pennsylvania.
Leon?
I'm in Macedonia, Central European time, I think.
And I think it's 3:45 in the morning for you right now, right?
Yes.
Penelope?
I'm in New York, Eastern Standard Time.
And Robin?
I'm in Singapore, Singapore Standard Time, which is 12 times ahead of
It's 9:45 in the morning there, and you can hear, you might have heard all the beautiful birds throughout the show that's happening in Robin's world. Esme?
Staten Island, New York, Eastern Standard Time.
And Chapin?
Chattanooga, Tennessee, Eastern Standard Time.
And Louisa?
Duval, Washington, Pacific Standard Time.
Great. Next question is who made the music? Who did the music? So Dylan, are you here? You want to click in? This is our amazing composer, Dylan Shumway. Dylan, you want to say anything about the music?
Yeah. The music for this show is really interesting because there's so many different timelines that are happening simultaneously, and figuring out what sonic worlds define each moment for the different characters that are happening was a really interesting challenge for us to navigate. There's also moments of the show where when we were rehearsing in person, there were moments of live music with some of the performers here playing a variety of different instruments, which became increasingly harder over Zoom. So those moments were kind of morphed into as Elijah was playing while names were being submitted, or Chapin playing the trumpet during Tamale Vendor, you have these moments where the music kind of crosses from background element to foreground plot element, which is a really interesting dynamic to have to navigate both in person and now over the internet.
Cool. Who made the tiger costume? I don't know, Robin Mazzola, if you're here, but if not, the tiger costume was designed in collaboration with Jamie, our costume designer, and Robin Mazzola, who's the costume shop manager at Wesleyan. And I think, I don't know, Miguel, do you want to grab the head? Is it close by or far away?
Not close by, but I still can get it. Yeah.
Go ahead and get it. It's I think it's like a paper mache situation with set on top of a hard hat. So like there's a hard hat in Miguel's head. As Miguel gets it, we'll keep going through questions. Was the letter contents in the devised script, or did you change it? Liz, I'm gonna let you answer that.
In the script, there's like a little line that trails off, and we decided that we wanted to have a different letter every night so that I was invested in actually getting through it and didn't know what it was going to say. And I outsourced that job to a dear friend, Michaela Robertson Pine, who's in Amherst, who wrote the letters and then scanned them and emailed them to me. I printed them, didn't look at them, folded them. So if you tune in tomorrow night, there will be different wisdom from Stella Burden.
Yeah.
Just saying.
There's the tiger head right there. Thanks, Miguel. This question is, how much original material did you guys add and how did you integrate it? So I'll start that answer, which is that I've known this play for a long time. I came up as a theater maker in Austin, Texas with the RUDE MECHS. So I was around when they were developing the method gun, and I think I saw the first version of it. And I also make devised work, and I'm really interested in this thing that happens with devised work, which is that it has this really robust life in the originating company, but then once that company is done with it, it never happens again. And because the students at Wesleyan are also really interested in devising, I asked the RUDE MECHS if we could take the method gun and do this experiment of basically like redevising it, whatever that meant, letting this company own it. So we went from the script that the RUDE MECHS had to adding five more Stella Burden Company members, redevising the training techniques in ways that made sense to us, honing a lot to the original material though, but then when we went to Zoom, we had to tear it apart again to try to make it match this. So integrating was like puzzle piecing it together and trying not to lose the storyline that was in there while also allowing all these new stories to come in. I think that's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Another question. How did the practice of devised work change from the time together at West to the work online? And also, where did you get the Thomas Graves lookalike? That Thomas Graves is the person who originally played Carl in the RUDE MECHS. And when Leon Wave, that's you. When he came into audition, I was like, okay, I know I have my Carl. There he is. How did the practice of devising change when we went to online? Was it radically different or did it kind of feel the same?
I felt like it was radically different.
In what way?
Yeah, I remember when we first started devising, especially scenes like Paperboy, the Blancherai, not Blancherai, the final scene of Streetcar. It was so dance and physicality based. We used a lot of playing with different fabrics, feeling the textures, draping and ledging on one another, really like all of this stuff that I feel like had to have been done in person. And then when we went to this online format, it was one of those things where we kind of immediately switched to the question of intimacy. It's like all of what we did in terms of physically devising this was so intimate and we felt so connected. How do we replicate that in the digital form? And so I think that was the biggest leap.
Yeah, sort of translating it came into. Hey, there's been a request that Will and Nick, the ADs, click on too.
Yeah.
So come on, you guys. Leon Wave again. Somebody asked who's in Macedonia, and so that's Leon there. And there's Will clicking in his cream background. I'm curious about the difference in performing with the various environments and then the green screen section. So I don't know if the question is about how it felt different to the actors or what it meant to us being different. But how did you go environment to environment? They did a lot of crawling on their floors.
It was incredibly chaotic. I have like 4 pages of directions. Our amazing stage manager, Betsy, had marked out a whole Excel spreadsheet for everybody, as well as individual placements for lighting, for placement of camera, for just every prop and everything. And I was extra paranoid, so I just wrote it down as well. I'm not sure what other methods everyone else used, but that worked for me.
Yeah, Max.
It's just like our stages are one room, right? So we have everything perfectly preset, and then still every time you turn off the camera, it's like a sprint to get set up for the next scene. It's like moving tables, props, costumes, everything, and then you just click in just on time to be there again.
We got showing her backstage. You guys could probably all show a little bit of your backstages.
Yes, and the bike tape everywhere on the carpet.
Oh, I should go back. I have like actually 2 performance spaces because there's Tiger Space, which we didn't even know if we were going to be in like the same or a different place. But I'll walk you through the really long hallway. I live in the faculty apartment of a dorm at a boarding school. So we use the hallway to be the Tiger to a specific different area.
The tiger got its own special spot.
This whole place. And then you can go, I'm going to put the head down right here.
Miguel,
So I
I'm
always had to
gonna,
walk
keep
through.
doing, I'm gonna keep doing questions as you walk because you're kind of stuttering.
This is my
Will-
space. It's a little bit gross.
Miguel,
A lot of books.
Miguel,
Yeah.
you're breaking up a little bit on that tour.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's good. Now you're in your normal space.
That was my route. Had a lot of that. So.
Will, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the choreography. Will, our assistant director, was responsible for a lot of the choreography you saw, both in the rehearsal videos of seeing when people were rehearsing in the room, but also as we translated to Zoom. You want to speak to that, Will?
Yeah, it was a really interesting challenge. We had to deal with like the three-dimensionality of everyone in their own rooms, thinking about depth and distance camera, and then also think about the two-dimensional composition of what the audience looking at and our grid, as we kind of came to call it. And so it became very coordinated, and there was an order that we had to click in on for each scene to facilitate that. But it came from a lot of trial and error and experimentation.
I think the only scene that is sort of most reminiscent choreographically from what we were doing before is the poker playing scene. Everything, they really held on to their choreography, which was amazing. And that choreography was really inspired by the original choreography from the RUDE MECHS show. We used the same song and tried to capture that same kind of energy and intricacy. How much of who among the cast and crew is responsible for the Zoom tech direction? And how much of the rehearsal was just navigating that part of it, like coming and going from the meetings? I feel like a lot of our, like the first several weeks, the first 2 weeks of our rehearsal was a lot of like, what can we do? What can this do? Like the day we discovered like, oh, you can be on Zoom on your phone and on your computer at the same time, broke a lot open for us. Or the day we discovered that you don't have to click out, you can just cover your camera, meant that we could choose where somebody was in the space rather than just being at the mercy of how Zoom worked. So a lot of that was group devising, like a lot of discovering the tech. The Zoom tech felt like devising. It was really tied into the devising. And then when we moved to the live stream, Mary Paul, our production manager at Wesleyan, stepped up, and we're using an interface called OBS, which I think stands for something, Open Broadcast Software. And do the title cards. Yeah. So we did have a real tech rehearsal. Like every rehearsal was fairly techy in the Zoom world, but then last week we moved into tech, which was a lot about finessing the timing and figuring out the live stream. Okay, there's so many more questions. What about the piece do you feel like this platform enhanced? Friend?
You don't get to be so close up on a stage. Mm-hmm. You get to be like right here with us, and we are like, I'm talking to you right now. You don't get that on the stage.
Max, and then Leon.
There was something about the whole COVID pandemic and everything really made us think about why we were doing this production and why this show was important to put up now. And we had a lot of really big picture conversations about what the show meant and what it meant to do now and what it meant to do over Zoom, and if it should happen at all. And I think it really, by the end of those conversations, we really understood the value of what we were doing. And that we then could, in conjunction with all those experiments we were doing, we had an idea of how to use what we were using and why we were using it. And together, I think that made us produce something that really had all of our hearts in it.
Leon.
Well, I'm thinking about the streetcar scenes, or the scenes that the Stella Burden Company was devising, and they were all based around absence. Even when when all of us were, in real life planning those scenes out, we were thinking about how do we represent absence. And I feel like this is the best way to do it because none of us are there. And in Connie's speech, she talks about how, we can't all, how Stella believed that we can't all be the main characters. And it feels like right now, a lot of the main characters in our lives are also missing. So that's what we were talking about when devising on Zoom.
Louisa.
As well as adding, like keeping the same concepts, I think one of the concepts that was really enhanced because of this pandemic was like what matters and stakes and risk. For example, in plant climbing practice, that was a technique that we added ourselves. We decided to just gather some plants and improv our way through it the first time we did it. And then we kind of, because we had so much practice improving before the pandemic with our characters and understanding the Stella Burden core beliefs, I feel like that made it really fun and a nice challenge to incorporate a new scene after we ended up on Zoom.
The plant climbing practice is a good example of integrating new material into the show after Zoom. We were trying to remember how that came to be, and what we remember is that we were looking for one object that would unify all the spaces. So we asked, like, what does everybody have in their house? And somehow we came up with the idea that probably everybody has a house plant, which is not actually true. But everybody got one. And so we had these plants, and then we're like, okay, we have them. What do we do with them? And when we were rehearsing in the room, often as a way into devising, we'd kind of be in a world and I'd just make up an exercise that the Stella Burden Company would have to do. So I think I just said, like, pretend you're miniature versions of yourself and you're trying to get up the plant. I don't actually remember, but it was such an incredible and lovely moment. We felt like we wanted to keep it in. Okay. How did you navigate doing this in houses that presumably have other people present? Are they all just sequestered to a bathroom or something?
I'm enjoying the comments that the parents are putting in the live chat. I feel like that is a good baseline of lots of banging and yelling.
Right Robin in her world it's in the morning time, and she's in her living room in front of her kitchen. So I think none of her family have been able to have breakfast today yet.
My dad's been trying to enter the living room twice already.
Oh, you can let him come in.
I'll text him. Makes sense.
My dog
It's
walked in on kissing practice one day.
Yeah. How did you choreograph passing things from one window to another?
One of the most important things we had to do is we had to have like a very consistent order of who goes and when, because Zoom will just order everybody in a very specific way. First come, first serve, basically. So we had to know our order when to come in. The whole very consistent order.
Whoa.
I just heard my voice. I don't want to hear
it. And then also what's tricky is what you are seeing in the live stream is what we want you to see, but it's actually not what they're seeing. So when they reach down here to hand off a beer, the person they're handing it to in our eyes is actually above their head. So it's a lot of like this. Esme, you want to? Yeah. There we go.
I reached.
All in the notes that Betsy put. Just another shout out to Betsy.
Oh, Betsy told you where to hand things off to. Mm-hmm. And we also realized, like, reaching towards your camera and then receiving towards your camera is a surefire way. What was the tiger representing?
I can go on a very long, pretentious rant about this.
Do you want to go on like a short, pretentious rant?
Yeah. Or a long, unpretentious one. No, I think for me,
Miguel played the tiger, by the way. People might not know that you played the tiger.
That's me.
And then the voice of the tiger was Elijah. Yeah.
Yeah, the tiger he's very much I see him very much as like a neutral outsider type. Nothing that he does is necessarily like good or bad. It's just kind of how nature works. There isn't really like, and one of the things that nature does is it like entropy in nature can break people apart, it can break things apart. And as much as these people are trying to stay together, nature is always there. The entropy is always there, starting to like claw at, tear people apart. And I think for me, one of the many things that the tiger represents is that. But there are many other things. I have a lot of thoughts about this.
That's great, Miguel. There's our little tiger.
Can I
Go ahead,
add just that that's as like everything, it's the tiger is another element that drastically changed during quarantine, and it became a much more urgent need to just kind of walk out the room, which is that sort of act of entropy now in these circumstances. But that's why at the very end, Liz and Miguel walk off as far as they can.
Mm-hmm. We also, one thing we learned is that the show got a lot longer when we translated it to Zoom, in part because we were adding in scenes and exposition to build the isolation into the experience of the Stella Burden Company. And we also had to like give time to transitions. So we ended up having to cut an entire tiger monologue the second time the tiger shows up, which is a really beautiful speech. Maybe we'll put it on the website. We'll record you guys and put it on the website.
I'm sure we have recordings of it in like rehearsals. Yeah.
Great. More questions. How did Stella's company, and then how did the RUDE MECHS handle copyright issues with Williams's play, or were there none? So the Stella Burden Company does not actually exist. And so they didn't have any trouble with the copyright issues. They didn't have to worry about that. And when the play was published, which it's published in a collection of plays from Humana, I can't remember what year, but yeah, we didn't really deal with anything that had to do with copyright. It wasn't an issue, the Tennessee Williams material, as it was handed to us. But perhaps it should have been. Somebody wants to know where the Arlington cast party is, Liz. And who is handling
Yorktown?
Who is handling the transitions between images and people? That would be Betsy. Betsy, are you up for clicking in? This is our amazing stage manager who has worked so hard and held everything together and been the most brilliant stage manager ever. Thank you, Betsy. So Betsy was calling that show. So she was calling Mary Paul to do some transitions. She was calling to one of our ASMs, Izzy Koff. Izzy, if you want to click in. Izzy had all of the slides that you saw as, hi Izzy, thank you, as green screens that she would put up. And then Nick, if you want to click back in, Nick was on sound. Maybe Nick's taking a little break, but that's how we were doing it. That took a little futzing to try to figure out how to make that happen. What is your role in this production, Milton? Milton, come on back. Right now, Milton's role is typing all the questions you're asking into our chat box. Milton is Izzy's partner in assistant stage managing. So Izzy and Milton were there to be support for Betsy and do all the behind the scenes work that needs to get done.
I also got over 300 texts from so
wow.
At the end, yeah, that was a lot of work.
That was great, Milton.
Except for the 12 people who knew me and thought it was my number and texted
me. Did you guys have any cast bonding rituals outside of rehearsals?
We went to late night a lot.
Right. Yeah, that was something so huge.
What's late night? I didn't go.
So at Wesleyan, dining services happen at certain times during the day in our like one big dining hall. And there's something called late night, which is essentially like very late evening. Like, what is it? Like 10,
1 a.m.
Yeah, 9:30 to 1 a.m. And they essentially serve fried food and pancakes and tater tots and things of that sort, which is a frequent spot for the theater folks who are all in rehearsal very late. So we would often walk from the theater studios directly through our student center. Some people would peel off and we'd go to late night and do homework or talk about whatever bonkers things happened at rehearsal that day. Or
And what about, since we've been on Zoom, have you had any outside rehearsal cast bonding?
We
telling you.
I mean, as much as we can, we had a couple times we've met on personal Zoom links and just had hangout sessions.
Yeah.
We have a group me.
We realize that that's one of the hardest things about moving rehearsal to Zoom is that you don't have the like walking to rehearsal and the walking home together. Like there's none of that space and time, which I think probably none of us realized what an important part of rehearsal that actually is until we didn't have it. Because the final scene was so important and big, how did it feel changing it and making it so different? I think they're asking about our dream ballet. So the first step was when the RUDE MECHS did this show, for those of you who have seen it and haven't, their final performance is all of these lights that are on metal poles that are swinging, and the choreography happens amongst them. And we couldn't do that at Wesleyan, both because it was a little too dangerous, I think, for the students, but also we just didn't have the resources to bring that set up there. So we had to first come up with our own version of it, which was these bowling balls going down this rake. The physics department gave us a bunch of bowling balls. We got bowling balls donated to us. So we're really excited about that. And then when that was a big question that we sort of held for a long time and didn't know the answer to, how would we do it here? And we realized that because of like what Esme was saying in the beginning, there's one of the bowling balls. We couldn't try to approximate that. So we decided to just not even try and just kind of honor what we did by speaking it, by narrating it. And then slowly that found its own form. Was there ever a moment where you thought, oh, COVID happened, we have to cancel the show? Or were you determined to do some version no matter what? And Elijah, also somebody texted you a question.
Yeah. Should I read those?
Well, let's answer this question about, was there a moment when we thought we'd cancel? Was there?
The only time I thought we would cancel is the time in between when we first talked to each other, when we found out that we had to go home. And I was very, very worried. And that was like the biggest devastation, is not being able to complete that. Then we met together and it was very, very clear the show is going to go on in some way or another. Like we were very, very committed to that. And it was really good to be with everybody. Some of you in person, some of them over Zoom, but it was very clear we wanted to keep going.
We went through a lot of options. Like one option was totally cancel now, redo the show in the fall. Max, who's graduating, would like come back for a
visiting artist.
And then gradually we just started to accept the situation and say, how do we make it happen? Yeah, Elijah, do you want to read a text question?
Sure. This is from my father, who has been banished to my grandma's house down the street. He sent like 4, and I will only ask one. What went into decisions about, and I'm going to reword it because I know what he means, but not everyone does. When did we decide, what affected when we decided to pretend that in some way we were in the same space, and when did we accept the fact that we were in our own boxes and there's no actual passing off happening?
Does anyone have an answer?
That was something that came up constantly.
Yeah.
Like, and we did try to kind of play with the, okay, maybe as we have fewer placards and maybe people start to put back their Wes, identities on, putting glasses back on, taking their hair down, that was kind of melting back into the, we are all in quarantine. But I think sometimes we also tried to keep that very ambiguous and kind of, just suspend your disbelief that we are all in the theater right now and you are watching us all in one space.
Mm-hmm. Esme, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think I don't know about y'all, but I still don't know. And we always talk about this concept of an 80-20 with this play. Like, you're 80% sure that this is something that actually happened. You're 80% sure that this is like the reality we're presenting. And it was that slipperiness that I think we all we're so fascinated and confused by with this piece. And so when it comes to that, I love how goddamn confusing it is. It's the greatest confusion a girl could ask for.
Somebody just requested that we see the entire team all at one time, so everybody in the back. So if everybody wants to click in, that's Calvin, our lighting designer. There's Nick again down in the bottom, Andrew, Dylan, Mary Paul. Was it tough or easier not having a live audience giving back real-time reaction?
Oh, so much harder. Unquestionably.
It's like film acting,
Yeah.
You what?
It's like film acting. It's a camera.
It is kind of, but it's not quite.
No, it's not even. It's
all alone.
What is this new medium?
It's really lonely. Because you're just in your room, and sure, there's people here, but like, there's a difference between when you're in tech and you're on a break and you can be like off to the side chit-chatting with your friends, versus here when we were on a break, you kind of just turn your camera off and you go on mute. It was real, like, it's great to all be here now and see everybody's faces, but it's pretty lonely, but in a cool way.
We've had there were lots of frustrating moments of like, this is not acting, or this is not theater. The moment that when the company had the breakdown scene and Elijah has those lines about like, we leave rehearsal totally unchanged and this is not theater. That came from a real conversation that we were having. I don't know if you want to talk any about that, Elijah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I basically said those lines verbatim, although not at that level of whatever. But until it took a long time, certainly for me, and I think for a lot of us, to feel that anything was happening and to feel that we were creating anything, because it's so untouchable. Like, there's no tactile sense of what we're doing, or at least there wasn't for a long time, and that was really, really challenging.
Somebody asked, maybe in a way it's a kind of follow-up question, are we interested in doing a show like this again, even when things return to normal and we are allowed to be together? Would we do another show on Zoom?
Honestly, this entire experience, and I think the way that theater has been trying to survive and the arts have been trying to survive during the pandemic, has really demonstrated that, like, we as like as creators, as an industry, we can begin to make more and more accessible art, because we've now proven we can do an entire theatrical production and show it for free to people all over the world, and they can watch it on their own time because it's also going to be recorded. And so for me personally, I really hope that this informs much more of how we create theater in the name of accessibility and in the name of education for it. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if I would do it again, because I think that this story that we just that what the play happened to be have all these rhymes and parallels with our actual situation that started happening in March. So for me, the question of like the fact that this show is asking like, what is theater? What does it mean to have absence? Just what I'm trying to say is that this story, I think, was uniquely positioned to be here, to be over Zoom. At least for me, it's a story that I find very worth telling. I don't know if I would do just like any production over Zoom, but that's just me personally.
Somebody asked what the appeal was of devised work, and in light of this question, the devised nature of this show was the thing that allowed us to make the translation to Zoom, because we had the permission to react and interact with the new situation. I don't know what it would be like to do a play that had a set script with characters in a reality that doesn't acknowledge the performed reality. We'll have to see. We might do it again. Robin.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think that what really drew me to this piece was the fact that it is devised and specifically requires ensemble work and collaboration. And that's a huge theme, not just in the way that we've been approaching this, but also in the play. And that went hand in hand with putting in effort and really believing in something. And so when we went to Zoom, I think all these things were just accentuated because we really need to try on this platform, you know? Like, we all really need to work together. And maybe back to what Miguel said, somehow the stars aligned and in a twisted sort of way, and the show lent itself to Zoom.
Yeah, Louisa.
I think one of the really special things about having this devised piece and in the way that you started off our rehearsal processes, Katie, was the fact that we didn't start right away with like the meat of the play. We started a lot with getting used to physical contact with each other, learning to build trust in various exercises. For example, preparing the floor, which meant like it's like using a piece of cloth. It's like I believe it's a Japanese method. You said, Katie, or where we just focus on like cleaning the floor for 5 minutes at the beginning of every rehearsal process, and just having rituals like that as we started into each rehearsal, I think really a strong sense of bonding that I'm not sure it would have been the same if we had started our rehearsal process on Zoom. It really helped, that kind of connection really enabled us to translate our work into Zoom in a really special way.
Yeah. Calvin, somebody asked about how we did the lighting.
Yeah, it's way different from being in real theater, and it's more like I've got 11 lighting designers with me, because everybody had to curate their rooms to look like a unified picture at the end of the day, and we were using everything and anything that we had, and the actors were brilliant about every time they moved their camera, moving a light with them so that they stayed in their light, as it were. So bravo to you guys for doing that.
Another act of collaboration.
Big time.
I think that's the last question that got texted to me. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Mary Paul, I'm not quite sure how this works with you like turning off the live stream, but we all just want to say, if you're still here watching, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. It does complete the loop. Like, we needed you tonight to do this experiment, complete the loop, to understand what theater is now with us and with you. So tell your friends, one more show tomorrow, 2:00 Eastern time. Okay, sure. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Will, I don't know if you want to click in, or Betsy, you want to click in, but right when this started, a company in Britain started doing these Shakespeare readings online. And Mary, you were the one who turned me on to this. And I watched one, and at the very beginning, it was at the very beginning of like, how is this going to work? Oh my God, somebody's doing something on Zoom. Let me watch it as research. And one of the things they did was they introduced 2 swings. And they said, if somebody glitches out, this person will be a swing, and they'll come in and read until that person figures it out and gets online. And so that's where I got that idea that we really needed to do that. And both last night in our dress rehearsal and tonight, we needed that. And so Betsy stops the video of the person who's freezing and tells Will to click in, and Will clicks in and reads the part. And if a second person has to do it, I think Milton is our second backup if we need two actors. Nick can't do it because he's so busy pushing the buttons on the phone.
Unfortunately. I can do both. Let's go.
Okay, we'll try that tomorrow. All right, so now we're going to wrap up. We'll wrap up the way with you, the way we do all our rehearsals, which is something that one of my own theater mentors used, which looks like this. Our opening night performance is over. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
How do we know when they're gone?
Do we click out?
Smile and wave.
I